So this is a thing.
We were calling out leaders on a case of really woke gone wrong. The irony that they were canceling Native American culture as the DEI movement went way too far.
Let's pause here. That is Republican Senator Steve Daines of Montana. A lot to unpack first.
This morning, one of the original NFL teams under mounting pressure to change its controversial name. The Washington Redskins facing a new corporate and political push to scrap its name, widely viewed as a racial slur against Native Americans. FedEx, which owns the naming rights for the team's home stadium, requesting that the name given to the team in 1933 become a thing of the past. In a one-sentence statement, the delivery giant writing, "We have communicated to the team in Washington our request that they change the team name." Adweek magazine reporting that investment firms and shareholders worth $620 billion have requested that FedEx, as well as Nike and Pepsi, all terminate their ties with the franchise unless owner Daniel Snyder makes the change.
Remember, this came about in July of 2020. We don't have to go back very far, all right, to find the meaning of the offensive name and logo, because published in a hometown paper out of Winona, Minnesota in September of 1863, the press would print, and this is for educational purposes only, I don't use this word anymore. The state reward for dead Indians has been increased to $200 for every red dash skin sent to purgatory. This sum is more than the dead bodies of all the Indians east of the Red River are worth. Politico would add, it harks back to the days when colonies, trade companies, and some states issued bounty proclamations for exterminating Native American people and providing the bloody, again, I'm going to say it one more time as it fits in the context, red space skins as proof of, quote, Indian kill. Now that we have that out of the way, the former owner of the team.
We are Redskins Nation, and we owe it to our fans and coaches and players, past and present, to preserve that heritage.
Was this man, Daniel Snyder. And, aside from him contributing to Donald Trump's campaign, aside from him investing in the movie The Apprentice, an anti-Trump movie that the administration feared being released, he's probably the reason why it was released. Oh yeah, and also this.
They have reached a settlement with a former team employee who accused owner Dan Snyder of sexual misconduct in 2009, according to multiple reports. The Washington Post reports the settlement is for $1.6 million and that Snyder and the team have denied any wrongdoing. The New York Times is reporting that Snyder paid the settlement to avoid negative publicity, and both the Post and the Times report that the woman was fired after making the allegations. Here's a look at the long list of lengthy reports regarding Daniel Snyder this summer. On July 16th, the Washington Post reported 15 women accused former Washington employees of sexual harassment, although Snyder was not included. Then the next day, Snyder released a letter saying that he did not have the knowledge of the allegations before the report, but that he takes full responsibility for the culture of the organization. A month later, another report surfaced that a former team executive instructed employees to create a behind-the-scenes video for Snyder, which featured clips of partially nude team cheerleaders from a 2008 photo shoot. And this leads us to today, where the Washington football team reportedly settled a sexual misconduct allegation for $1.6 million regarding Snyder and a former employee.
All that stuff aside, Snyder continued his quest to keep the team name. Thus, in 2004, a UPenn poll found more than 90% of American Indians said the R-word team name does not bother them. And let me tell you something. Boy, did the press run with this.
A new Washington Post poll found that 90% of Native Americans are not offended by the Washington Redskins nickname.
Then in 2016, another poll came out, and it found that 9 in 10 Native Americans said they were not offended by the name. Then 3 years later, though it decreased, a majority, 68% of respondents, said the Washington R-words was not offensive. And guess who used these numbers to his advantage and ran the playbook over and over again on how we have the approval? Dan Snyder, of course. But UC Berkeley and the University of Michigan then ran a more thorough study including an abstract view of the Washington Post poll that we just went over, and they found the errors. It was a telephone survey of 504, very important to hear this, self-identified Native Americans, and the results are said to have influenced the decision of Snyder to retain the team name. Obviously, there are some flaws in the way they went about this. Nonetheless, in their study, UC Berkeley and University of Michigan, they would recruit more than 1,000 self-identified adult Native Americans representing 50 states and 148 tribes using the Qualtrics online survey platform. The cohort varied widely in age, gender, socioeconomic status, level of education, political ideology, tribal affiliation, and Native American political and cultural involvement. So they are going further. Study co-lead Ariane Eason would conclude, ultimately, our study demonstrates the people who identify most with being Native American are the ones most likely to feel harmed by the continued use of stereotypical Native American team names and mascots. This suggests that the debate over the continued use of Native American mascots should be more closely attuned to Native American voices, particularly the voices of those who are most highly identified. Exactly. It seems so effing obvious, but to folks like Daines, all they see is they're trying to ruin the tradition. They're trying to take away our traditions. And what do we know about conservative traditions? Point being proven. Snyder is also a man who, in bad faith, launched a goal of ending Native American poverty. It seems like it would be a good idea, but he used it for political gain and also to get in a better frame of mind within his fan base to say, oh, he is trying to help. The franchise would terminate the charitable effort. This came 4 months after retiring the R-word name. What a coinky-dink. So, there's more from Daines.
So we've had good discussions with the NFL and with the Commanders. There's good faith negotiations going forward that's going to allow this logo to be used again. Perhaps revenues going to a foundation that could help Native Americans in sports and so forth.
Let's just be clear here, okay? The return of that logo and that name is deeply problematic. And don't take my word for it. We have the data. NBC News published a report which found widespread use of Native American imagery and stereotypes in sports caused Native American participants to report lower self-worth. Well, it seems like that's pretty bad for the party that says we must protect and we must serve the people. We represent you. This kind of runs counter, doesn't it? The piece went on. Native American mascots encourage the use of racial slurs, such as the one in the former name of the Washington football team by non-Indigenous people, which is associated with higher levels, get this, of depression, substance abuse, unaliving, increased pain, and maladaptive health behaviors among Native American adults, adolescents, and children. So if you have this information, and it's fairly obvious that there is a direct correlation between using this, bullying, and a direct effect on those people, why wouldn't you say, yeah, maybe we'll just go for something else? Maybe we could even call it the Washington football team once again, because I think that's way better than the Commanders. But still, you have folks like Daines who are saying, nah, I don't care about the data. We should bring back the team name. Wow. Tyler Jimenez, assistant professor at the University of Washington, concluded in his study, Native people have been pushing sports teams to stop using Native-themed mascots for decades. Adding to this push, our findings suggest that more needs to be done. Going further, Michael Johnson, Chief Strategy Officer of Illuminative, a national Native woman-led racial and social justice organization that is based in Tulsa, Oklahoma, told NPR, the mascot imagery just continues to perpetrate, and reinforce colonial white supremacist ideas and stands as a barrier for new opportunities for dialogue and education. I really think that this is a slam dunk. I really think that it is so incredibly easy. Yet it goes back to, what we saw when the NASCAR debate was coming out, right? And Bubba Wallace was at the forefront saying we need to get rid of Confederate images. What did Republicans do? They latched onto it like a leech. And they said, they are taking away our traditions. They are taking away our values. We were raised this way. Cancel culture is getting out of control. Blah, 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 blah. And then you saw them waving those flags outside of Daytona. You saw them waving those flags outside of Talladega. Of course, they were side by side or right on top or beneath a Trump flag and a don't tread on me flag. But nonetheless, we are seeing this now with Daines, who is trying to make a name for himself by saying they're going too far. The woke mob is going too far. When really, it's about, honestly, empathy. That's what I see. It's about understanding how a side is affected by people, predominantly white people, are putting out these images that harm said community, and then they scream cancel culture, wokeness, going too far, yada, yada. When really it's about evolving. It's about keeping up with the times and creating an inclusive environment for everybody.